Hey, this is Jessica Hammer, host of Crowned and Dangerous. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Liz Colburn, host of The Morning Uplift here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you are done with this episode, I hope you'll come back and check out my show, The Morning Uplift, where we talk about finding your beauty in the journey. A new show comes out twice a month on the first and third Mondays. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of The Morning Uplift. Thank you again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
What is up, everyone? It's Julianne Condia coming at you live from Northern California. I'm a Midwestern girl living in Silicon Valley, and it's good to be with you today. Thanks for tuning in. If you could tag me in any kind of social media platform and let me know how this spoke to you, that would just be so wonderful. I would love to hear that, and share it with a friend. Seriously, I do that all the time. Every time I hear a podcast that speaks to me, I send it in a text to a friend. And that simple reminder to that friend that you're thinking of them means the world, or even just people that I work with, depending on what they're dealing with. I really love to be intentional with reaching out to them. So if this speaks to you, maybe it'll speak to them. Thank you so much for believing in this dream of Rewritten, to help others live their limitless potential, to live it out loud, to live it in this world that can make you feel so small and so silenced. How about we live in a world where there's impact and meaning, and maybe that's just with your neighbors. Maybe it's more, I don't know, but just knowing that you're here for a reason, I want to be that reminder for you. So thanks for believing in this podcast as much as I do, and you rating it, you leaving a review matters, so thank you for doing that. I'm going to read from this book that I love. I haven't read it in a while, but I was just looking at it today and I opened it up to this page. Stop waiting. The world will try to convince you to play it safe, not dare too much or dream too big, to color within the lines. Don't listen to it. There is nothing more life-threatening than resignation, because the moment you settle for complacency and compromise who you are, you've lost the best part of life and squandered the potential that lies within you. Don't believe it's okay to show up every day at a job that you don't love, or one you do just for the money. Discard others' expectations. Hold tight to your own. The beauty of life is that it is your own, so dare to live it. Become what you believe. Prioritize life, but by what genuinely makes your heart smile. Love fearlessly. Abandon hesitation. Do everything. Imagine, create, surprise yourself. An uncommon life is for those who are willing to take leaps of faith, chance fate, and bask in the uncomfortable. It is worth it. Life is magical, intoxicatingly surprising, with unforeseen twists and turns. Isn't that amazing? Prepare yourself for the road less traveled, for an uncommon life. Accept your fate, but also know your life is what you choose to do with it. Take a deep breath. It begins when you say, wow, that is so powerful and such a beautiful reminder. I think we think there's a perfect timing or a not perfect timing. I was talking to someone the other day, and he is an entrepreneur. He lives in Silicon Valley. He's brilliant. He has created a business and had done really well for himself. And he works at our church now. And I asked him, I said, have you always been a Christian? My friends joke that I just go deep right away. I'm serious. There's no surface level with me. at all. I'm going to ask hard questions. I'm going to ask blunt questions. That's just who I am. So I asked, have you always been a Christian? And he said, no, I haven't. And he just started sharing his story. It's amazing listening to other people's stories. And he had told me that he thinks that he was just so afraid of what God would call him to do. Or he was so afraid to live life for him because he liked his life. He loved his job. He loved the money he made. And deep within him, he knew that God would have him leave that comfort. And so he did become a Christian, and he left his job to work for the church. And he said, I can't believe how much my life is different now. And I told him, I said, rich is more than money. Rich is so much more than money. And in a world that values money, status, accolades, it is hard to be reminded of that. But if there's anything I know, it's that I want to be rich in love, rich with my family, rich in my relationships. I want to grow deeper with people. And at the end of my life, I know that the amount of money, the amount of investments, the amount in our savings account doesn't matter, which is so hard in a world that teaches us that it does. So your requirement of living an uncommon life is going to ask hard things of you, things that are going to be really hard to sacrifice and give up. I had someone ask me the other day, why do you still live in Silicon Valley? I hesitated, and I said, because I'm called here. It makes me feel uncomfortable to live here. It's uncertain to live here. I don't know if you guys know this, but when everyone says that California is expensive, it is. But I don't think people would be willing to do what we do. We're a couple of people who quit their teaching jobs, left all uncertainty to pursue a life that lit our souls on fire. In the most expensive place in the United States of America. Houses start at $1 million. And here we are. Just being purposeful, learning to trust, growing closer together, relying on moments and adventure versus an accumulation of things. And it stretches us. There's been times our hearts have been filled full of worry, and those are times that we doubted. And living here just gives and shapes your perspective. It's not comfortable. And I don't know if we'll always stay here, but for now, we will. And it's so hard to explain to people because they just don't always get it. Do the easy thing. Move away. Why are you still there? Why do you accept those challenges? Why do you take on that extra stress? You're right. We could do something about that and leave, but we just feel like it's teaching us immense patience, that it's teaching us how to live in a way that we really want to live, because our business is awesome. It's so great. And living somewhere else, we would see more fruit of that for sure. But maybe that's not what we need in our lives. Maybe we need to see a different value in our life. So living an uncommon life is not easy. And I just want to remind you of that there is no perfect time, that you don't have to have it all together. I was talking to a friend, and she was talking to me about this idea. And what's crazy is what she didn't know is that I've had this idea too. And it also kind of shows that our ideas, that was hard to say, our ideas are not unique. Someone else has had them somewhere in the world, and it happened to be her. And so we were talking about it, and she said, I was recommended to talk to you. And she dove in and she said, but I'm hesitating on getting this curriculum essentially for this idea that we have, and more to come later. And she's like, but I hesitated because I just don't know. I don't know how we can pull this off. I don't know when a perfect time would be. And I looked at her and I said, there's not. You pull that trigger, let's do it, and let's just move. We don't have time to think about all the logistics, because when we think about all the reasons why we shouldn't and why we can't, we won't. And I think about our church is almost 10 years old, which is crazy. And I need to tell you guys this. Our church was founded by a couple of guys and women that moved all the way across the country to come to Silicon Valley because it's the most unchurched place in the United States of America. And that's why they wanted to come here. They had no church, nothing, no payroll, nothing. And they just moved here on complete faith. Now it's almost been 10 years. They have 3 campuses, a whole lot of vision, and 500 volunteers a weekend at least, if not more. It's crazy. Like, it's so cool how they said that, when they started this at 27, they didn't have all the time to think about all the ways that they couldn't do it. That they simply just made the decision and went for it, and they just kept on trusting and just kept on making decisions and just kept on taking action. And here we are. And I think about that with my life and the decisions that Eric and I have made, that we just acted. We didn't allow ourselves to psych ourselves out. We didn't decide to play it small. We decided to be stretched and to do the hard thing and just take the action, and we just kept on moving. So, friend, if you are wrestling with an idea or a feeling, maybe you're at a job that you hate. I'm not trying to convince you to quit it, but at the same time, I'm not going to be the person to say that that's okay either. You have to trust yourself that you can figure it out. You have to trust that you have the skills and the knowledge and the support of people that can help you work through this. Everything is figure-outable. No one is more special than the other, right? And so maybe you're literally... There are people here in Silicon Valley that make $250,000 a year and hate their jobs. It's not money that will make us happy. It's not a boss or a group of individuals. We can't rely on that. We have to continue to live out our passions, and how we do that is that we are making impact. And so I don't know what your uncommon life looks like. It could simply be that you're a house that doesn't have all the electronics, and you have to be the uncool parents. However, when you look around, you would rather have a house filled with laughter and conversation than silence. And maybe that's you living an uncommon life in a common world that values electronics, that you're willing to be the uncool parents compared to everybody else, but you love spending time with your family. And maybe then when other kids come to your house to play with your kids, that they're playing and you could hear them, and that's what sets your soul on fire. And that's leading and living an uncommon life, that you're the house that has the healthy dinners, and that can be hard to fight against. But if you live that uncommon life, you are building character into your family of valuing relationships and valuing conversation. How powerful is that? So I just ask you, what does your uncommon life look like? Doesn't mean you have to quit your job to live it. Maybe your uncommon life is to take a coworker out to lunch once a week. Maybe your uncommon life is giving back and paying it forward weekly. Maybe an uncommon life is giving more of what you've accumulated. Maybe living an uncommon life is downsizing, getting rid of 100 things in your house, living purposefully, picking up trash in the neighborhood with your family. Let me know. Let me know what that uncommon life looks like for you, because you're meant to live it. And I think when you live like that, you really value life in a way that doesn't make you robotic, in a way that doesn't make you value things that don't matter. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I love this podcast. I love all of you. And I just appreciate that you listen each and every single week. Have an awesome rest of your day.